All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. We are incredibly blessed today to have Jen Conley with us. Jen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Well, I think it's probably important for our listeners to understand what an incredible mortgage business you have built, how big it is, and how dominant you are in your local market. Would you mind sharing that information with us?
Not at all. I appreciate the compliments. Um, so I live in a really, really small rural town in Southern Ohio. There are about 22,000 people in the town that I live in, and we're closing 25 to 30 units per month every month. There's probably at any given month 100 to 125 transactions. Those are also cash. I mean, that's just everything that's closing. So we've got a pretty good market share that we've built up, and we've done it a few different ways. But it's kind of one of those things where in a small town you get to where everyone knows who you are,
Yeah.
and so it's been taken years though to get there. Obviously, with a lot of different things that we've done, but it's so fulfilling to us to be able to help people over and over again. And we see them at the grocery store and at the ball games, and then we just closed one last week. It was one of my past clients. I've done all of her kids loans, and those kinds of things in small towns. To see that happen and those families grow is such a huge thing for us.
That is amazing. And I know you're also growing an incredible team. So you're providing employment, you're providing a phenomenal place to work, which is cool to see the growth there as well.
The culture
So,
is really, really important for us. I've got a really good ops team in my branch, and we support our loan officers in other states that work for us. But that culture fit is super important. I want to make sure that my ops people here are happy
yeah,
working with the people that we have in other states. And so, that's really always what we're looking for is, do you think like we think? Because the mechanics of a mortgage, I can teach anybody that, but I can't teach you to think like we think and give that same experience to your buyers and to your employees.
yeah. So you've done a lot of different marketing and advertising to have that type of market dominance. What have you found have been the greatest strategies for you to bring new business in the door?
So when I started building my office, I did not live here. I lived in another county and I didn't know anyone. And I started with just the basics of the Freedom Club that, you and I both know with Carl. I've coached with Carl for, gosh, 9 years now.
Wow.
And we started doing, the calls, the Forrest Hammer calls, the daily success plan. It started with that. And as we built that with our realtor relationships, we started peppering in some more consumer direct things. So radio has been a huge, huge thing for me. A lot of people think that radio doesn't work. Even Carl, and he'll tell you this, he said it wouldn't work. But I think it's a lot of times the message that you're giving.
Yeah.
It's the way you present yourself. And so I tell stories on the radio. So I tell all the stories of our clients. I do that every day with the VJ live. I tell a story from the past week of somebody that we helped get into a home. And then we run static ads throughout the time too. And I still do stories in those, but I'll pepper in some different program things or specials or, we bought an office building. And so I did a whole campaign about that, about investing in the community. And you have supported us all these years and we want to invest back in by owning our own building. So there's just a lot of different things you can do on radio that people don't realize. And then 5 years ago, because I've been doing radio 9, 5 years ago, I started a show with a broker.
Okay.
He's the number one broker in our town, and it's called A Real Estate from a House to a Home. And with Mark and Jen. And so we've been doing it every Monday for 5 years. And we take turns. Like he'll have one week it's his show, one next week it's mine. And we just kind of banter back and forth. We make fun of each other. I think that's why people listen at this point. But, it's on the 4 o'clock hour every Monday, and
Wow.
we're in between songs. But we ended up being on air, I don't know, 35 to 40 minutes of the hour, and it's just a different point between each song that we do. And it's always surprising to me when people say that they listen because I'm like, I don't know why anyone would want to listen to it, but everyone always says that they learn a lot from it.
Yeah,
And so I think that that's something that we feel like no one wants to hear it because we do it every day. But
that's
people
right.
are interested in real estate. I mean, look, there's Flip or Flop. There's, I mean, just all these real estate shows, even the Reno shows, like all those things that we are investors are buying them and flipping them. Like people find it interesting. And so for us, we think, who wants to talk about a mortgage or, buying or selling houses? But people love to hear about it. And we'll do random story times sometimes, tell crazy stories that we've had happen. And so actually, it's really funny. They put them on as podcasts on the station website. And people will tell us that they go back and they listen to all of them.
Wow.
And I'm like, really? But it was a lot of fun. It was, and honestly, I started doing it because I wanted time with him.
Right.
It was a creative way for me to get time with the number one broker who does not do coffees or lunches.
Yep.
And I get a Friday afternoon for at least an hour with him every week, and I have for 5 years. And so we've developed a great work relationship. We've developed a great friendship, and it has just been good for both of us.
That's amazing. So somebody listening to this going, radio's probably not even on the radar for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. What was your first step in setting that up? Is there an ad rep that you reach out to? What does that look like?
So you would, whatever radio station, and I would talk to a few. I have found that country is a very, very good venue. They're a very loyal audience.
Okay.
I think we have the local DJ. She's been on there for 25 years, I think. So they feel like they know her. They have a relationship with her. She told me a story about someone called her and said, "Hey, my daughter wants to buy a house. I hear you talk to Jen Conley every day. Is she for real? Will she really take good care of my daughter?" And she said, "Yes, absolutely." She said, my sister just bought a house with her. My daughter's buying a house with her. I'm going to refi with her. So, they really, really trust a DJ. That's not gone from the world. I know that people think that, that's just a dead medium, but it's not for a lot of people. Yep. And so when you hear the same person over and over every day, you feel like you know them.
Yep.
And that's how it's been good for us too. They feel like they know me. So starting with the ad rep is good, making sure that you're getting good times. You make it a drive time if you're in an area that has a lot of drive. We're rural, so we don't have a ton of commute time. We don't have people stuck in traffic for an hour. So I do my main spot at 3:35 every day because the biggest employer lets out at 3:30.
Yep.
So when they get in their car, I'm the first thing they hear every single day. And so, if you have to pay attention to those kind of cultural things, that happen in your area. And so target in on those and, talk about the stories of your clients, story selling. Roberto Monaco taught me that a long time ago. And then I took a class with Donald Miller that was story branding. Like it's the oldest form of sales.
Yes.
Storytelling. And I think a lot of people don't think about it that way, or they think, I'm not good at that. I mean, if you've got kids, you've told stories.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's what you do to raise your kids. You tell them a story. When you teach them things, you tell them stories. So it's how people relate to you. And so that is huge. If you do that in your business, whether you do it on radio, you do it in videos. I've done videos for years. I do a spot on a TV show now. When I showed someone the other day, my very first video. It was so bad. But it's something that it progresses. You're not going to go from 0 to 100 the first time you do it, but you'll get better at it as you do it. But I've always told stories on videos. I used to do testimonials with my clients at every closing, telling their story. People relate to that and they want to see that. And even on social, on Facebook, we tell the stories of our clients, and on Instagram. They were at another lender, it didn't work out. They came to us. Here's how we got them closed in 15 days or, whatever it is. And people see people like them and they say, well, she can help them. She can help me.
That's right.
And so that's really, really powerful. And I think that people don't focus on that enough. I'm going to tell you guys something. No one cares about rate and payment.
Yes.
They don't. And everybody thinks Chris, I'm going to tell you, I have never, ever talked about rates and payments in my marketing, not one time ever. And because I don't want to do the disclosures that go with it. But they really don't care. They want the house.
Yep.
They want you to, future cast them into that house and talk to them about what their life is going to be like there.
Yes.
And that's the power in what we do is changing people's lives. We signed a loan yesterday of a girl that has had a crazy path to where she is now. She's had addiction and job loss and family loss, and she's got everything back on track. And my loan officer at Snyder said she heard her when she went out the door to her daughter. She said, "Baby, we're getting our own house."
That's amazing.
And that is why I do what I do,
Yeah.
because we are changing lives.
Yeah.
And it's really, really easy to get caught up in the debt ratio and the guideline and fighting with the underwriter and the appraisal coming in short. And oh my God, we need repairs. Like, it's so easy to get caught up in that. That is not why we do what we do. We do what we do so that lady can tell her, "Baby, we're buying our own house."
Yes.
And I think for me, it's easy to stay connected to that because I'm not doing the loan and the fighting with the underwriter and worrying about the appraisal and the title, because I have a team that does that, which enables me to just do the marketing and tell the stories and make the phone ring. Because for me, I can't fight with an underwriter and then go out and be happy Jen.
That's right.
I'm still mad about fighting with the underwriter. And so that's why I have them do that. And I'm not involved in that part of it. And then I do the happy, fun stuff that makes the phone ring. And I know everybody can't be there day one, and I wasn't either. But if nothing else, time manage so you have those times separate in your day,
Yeah.
so you can clear your head between, because it's impossible, at least for me, to go from that to that without carrying it over.
Yep, absolutely. And so, man, there's so much value here and so many things that we could unpack. So, I mean, so business coming in the door, the radio conversation was amazing. You mentioned two things that I just want to bring to light for our listeners. So you mentioned Thor's Hammer and the Daily Success Plan.
Yes.
So we have go back into the history of the podcast, and we have episodes that will specifically have Daily Success Plan and Thor's Hammer in them so that you can learn what those strategies are. Those are fundamentals to bringing new business in the door. Those are the activities that you need to do to get to the point that you have enough volume that you're comfortable hiring your first person or you're comfortable growing your team. So let's transition there, Jen, into you have an incredible team, a team that processes everything so well that you've got the radio DJ and the largest broker in town happily referring you business because they trust your processes in your system. I'm sure it wasn't always like that. How did you grow your team? Where did you start? What did that evolution look like?
When I started in the business, I had a partner. So I had him for a few years, and he processed and I sold. And then our first hire was Jill, who's still with me today. She's my operations manager now, and she's my loan partner. So she sells all the deals. She does all of that for me. She started out as an assistant. It's funny, she'll tell the story that for the first 3 months, she's like, I think you just hired me to be your friend, because I wouldn't let her do anything. I was like, "Oh, I've got it. Oh, I'll do it. Oh, I've got that." And so finally, after 3 months, she's like, "I can do things. And if you want to pay me just to hang out, that's cool. But I really want to help." And so I little by little started to give her things. And, our egos, because we're salespeople and we're roosters and we're type A, is nobody can do it better than me.
Yep.
Nobody can sell better than me. Nobody can sell like me. Well, they don't need to do it like me. They just need to get the result. And so when I started letting her do things, she sat right outside my office and she listened to all my conversations. And so the first time, though, I heard her say something I wouldn't say, but it worked.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, she's better than me." And then I was completely confident that to let her do that. And now I freely admit, she's a way better salesperson than I am. She can deal with more personalities than I can.
Yeah.
I have a certain type of person I deal well with. She can deal with everyone. She can mirror much better than I can. I'm pretty strong-willed, and I don't like to be, backed into a corner. It doesn't faze her. Like, she can walk right through it and stay with them, and I would be like, "I'm out." And she's so much better. And there are people out there that are better, and it doesn't need to be the same. Like, it can be different. And there are people that like me, and there are people that like Jill. And so it really, when you get that person, it opens up who will work with you, because you can deal with her or they can deal with me if they have to. But typically they all deal with her. But in the beginning, they kind of either or.
Yeah.
And so it helped bring other people in. And then I eventually got them over to Jill, and now she deals with them. But people think, "Oh, they want to talk to me. They only want to talk to me. They're going to think I don't care if I give them to someone else." They really don't care who they talk to. They
Yeah.
just want answers, and and the buyers just want their house. And so obviously you don't want someone rude or somebody that's, going to run people off. But if they're a good person and they've got a good attitude, people aren't going to care to talk to someone other than you.
Yeah, that is so true. And I see that as a huge sticking point with a lot of loan officers. No one can do this as good as I can do it. And if I go out and I'm the personality on Facebook or I'm going to run my own radio show, well, that just means more people will want to talk to me and I don't have enough bandwidth now.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't
And
need to
that's why
worry
you
about
need that team. And when they call and they always call and ask for me.
mm-hmm.
And they say, hey, Jen would love to talk to you, but she's in a meeting or she's working with another family. But I've got Jill here that can help you, or Mika that can help you. Like it's always someone else is available. And I talk about that. Someone is always available to you. You never get a voicemail when you call our office.
Yep.
Even if we're not there, I have an answering service.
Yep.
So you get a human every single time you call my phone number. And that's a big deal for people.
Absolutely, it is. So your first hire was kind of like a catch-all assistant who grew into your loan processor / closer. What was the next evolution in the team?
The next person was someone to work the files because Jill got overwhelmed with working the files and selling the files. And so then brought in someone else to do the update calls, gather the conditions, do all those things. And then that evolved into someone that is just taking applications now. Because with doing all the B2C stuff, all the consumer stuff, we get a lot of applications and some of them aren't good. Yeah. And so we have her that she can help them, walk them through credit repair, get them over to Jim Hogle, who's a great guy that we worked with for years, and he can work with them to get them ready to go and back to us. So that's her role, is to work those, take those new apps, get them in the system, and then she works on getting them to Jim and following up with them.
That's amazing. Now I'm curious about loan officers. Like if there's a loan officer, they're listening to this episode, they're in your location or potentially a new location that you're going to. What type of that role, like what does that role look like in your organization?
Pretty much like mine. I've got several that I have that are going out and they're selling, and then the team takes care of their things for them. If it's a state that, I'm not licensed in or Jill's not licensed in, they would sell the deal. Okay. But as far as taking the application, getting it set up for the loan officer, and then so they can sell it once it's sold, dock it, and then we take it from there and get it to the closing table. And it's just a really smooth plug and play system for somebody that's looking for somewhere to do that with, because it's hard to do all that, from the beginning, and so I always tell people I paid the stupid tax. Like I know what doesn't work. I've done it. I've done all the wrong things and spent all the money on it. So now we've got it down to a fine-tuned science that people can just plug in and go and sell and let us take care of it and process it for them.
And it's amazing because you've got systems on both sides. You've got the selling system for them, so go do this to go get the deals. And then you've also got the processing system that backs them up.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. So what does your team look like now? If we take a look at like the whole team, where are you at in your growth?
So we've got, as far as loan officers or as far as like my ops team?
The ops team.
So ops, we've got Mika that comes in, she takes the app, sets it up. And I've got Ashlyn, who she does all of the setup of the file. She structures the file. She sees what they're qualified to do. She does all the income on it. Gives Jill, my ops and LP, an email of a breakdown of everything they're qualified for, a roundabout payment for them, because people always want to know what would the payment be at my max amount. And then Jill has a loan consult with them after that and sells them on what they can do. And then she follows up until they get into contract. Once they go into contract, it goes to processing. Travis and Aaron are our processing guys. They take it and they do all the order outs, the appraisals, title, all that VOEs, which is a huge pain for everybody right now. And then Katie does all the follow-up with all the clients, all the realtors, all the insurance agents, all the title companies, and they're all doing the just ask. We're doing the 3x3 every day, all day long. Is there anybody that, any friends, family, or coworkers that are looking to buy, sell, or refinance on every single call? And so that is really, really huge. And this last quarter, we're doing our last quarter push, and we put a big goal in for them. And it's really cool to watch them. And I've got a really young staff, so I've trained all of them. That no one has worked at any other mortgage company.
Wow.
They've only worked for me. I've trained every single one of them from green. and they are just busting it, trying to, like, they're doing stuff on social, they're doing all these things, they're making extra phone calls so we can meet that goal, so we can end the year strong. And it's just, it's amazing to me. Everybody talks about, oh, millennials won't work and they won't do this. And so Jill and I have a front guy, desk guy, he's my age, we're all old, but everybody else is under 30. And I have got the best group of people that are, they're all millennials, and they work themselves to the bone for me. And it's just not true. I always say that, there are people my age that won't work. It
Yeah.
has nothing to do with what generation you are. It has to do with the person that they are. And I've got just such a great group of people. It's just, they amaze me every day.
That is amazing. And that's also part of the leadership and the training and the culture and the community and all of those wonderful things that you've built. Um, Amazing. So that's processing, and I won't dig too deep into that. But one other area where I see you as such a leader in all of the different groups that we're mutual members of is you're really a leader in lifestyle. And you run this incredible business, incredible market share, and yet you take a lot of time for yourself, your family, all of those wonderful things. And that comes from you are certainly a business operator, but you are a business owner. And you've grown this team so that you don't have to be riding the loan officer roller coaster. You don't have to be involved in every file. So can you talk to me a little bit about what your life looks like now that you have these systems set up, you have processes set up, so that a listener who may not be at the point that you're at right now, who aspires to that, has something that they're working towards and something that they can be goal oriented around?
Yeah. So one thing that, being in the Freedom Club, there's a lot of different things that they touch on. And I would say the one thing, probably even more than the systems, that really changed my life was Carl teaching me to save money.
Yeah.
Because I grew up, I'm 49. I grew up in a family that money was not discussed. It
Yeah.
wasn't talked about. It wasn't, what do you do with it? How do you keep it? How do you make more of it? It just wasn't talked about. And so I never was taught to save or to do those things. I knew I should, but I didn't know where to start. And so, like most loan officers, I made it and I spent it. And I made it and I spent it. And sometimes I spent more than I had. And, and so when I started coaching with him, that was part of the thing, was you save 25% of your net.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And then the next call, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And so after, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, he's like, listen, you're not taking this seriously. And if you're not going to listen to me, I can't continue to coach you, because I'm not going to help you if you don't listen.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh. So he's like, you have to have that account set up by the next time we talk. And so I did it, and I started saving, and then I became addicted to saving.
Yes.
And it's not that you can't, it's not that you save to the point where you're saving yourself into poverty, that you're living like a pauper. It's not that at all. It's that you pay yourself before you pay someone else.
That's right.
And so, I started doing that, and then I made it 25% of my gross instead of my net. And so as that grows, that almost becomes a new addiction, is for that, for that to grow and grow and grow. And so what people don't realize about that is when you start doing that, it changes the way you run your business. Your personal savings account changes the way you run your business, because I don't need every loan to close now. I don't need to stress about the fact that somebody quit their job 2 days before closing and, oh my God, what are we going to do now? I have to get paid to pay my mortgage. Like, that is not the world that I live in anymore. So it's like, you know what? I've got a house. I can make my mortgage payment. If that guy wants to quit his job, that's on him, and so it changes that. And then in turn, that changes who you want to do business with. You get to a point where I only do business with realtors I want to do business with now.
That's right.
I don't chase people. I don't take BS. I don't get treated poorly. I don't allow my staff to be treated poorly. Not one single realtor calls my office screaming and yelling like they did years ago. Yep. I don't tolerate it. If that happens, I call the broker and I say they are never to call this phone number again.
Yep.
And I've done that multiple times. And the broker usually will say, well, they're just upset. Don't care. We do not talk to people that way. And I'm not allowing your people to talk to my people that way.
Yes.
We are all business owners, and we are all adults, and we are respectful. And I expect that same respect in return. And, 15 years ago, I couldn't say that.
Yeah.
Because I needed that loan and I had to just take it. And loan officers across the country are in that position every single day. Yeah. And you don't have to be. That's the thing. You don't have to be. You can still save money. You can still put money back and have a good life and live like you want to live and be happy. You don't have to sell your soul to make a dollar. You
That's
just
right.
don't. And so it's all in how you save your money and you run your business. Those things go hand in hand. And I think people don't realize it. The freedom is, yes, the freedom is in the team and the freedom is having a great team that handles things for me. But the freedom is in the fact that I don't need every deal.
Yeah.
And when you aren't desperate, everyone knows it.
That's right.
It attracts way more than it deters.
That is so true. And again, so much value there, Jen. That is amazing. So a couple more questions. And
Okay.
again, thank you for being so generous with your time.
Oh, no, I don't want to talk too much. I'm a talker.
Hardly. I loving it. So please keep going. Do you have a favorite type of investment? How do you look at that aspect of the abundance that comes from the business?
I've started to do some real estate in the past few years, which is fun, but I thought I would like it more than I do. but it's just one more thing I've got to take care of, right?
Yeah.
So, but I work with an investment advisor that kind of handles all that stuff for me. I've not gotten into the crypto stuff. I think I want to, but I'm a little, I don't know enough about it, which I guess I don't need to. I can pay. It's not how to, right?
Yep. That's
just find
right.
my who for it. So, but mostly just, the regular stuff that everybody else is doing, those kinds of things, and a little bit of real estate peppered in.
Cool. Well, if you're ever looking for a baseline on crypto, please reach out. I'd be happy to spend a half hour, an hour with you.
What about NFTs? What about NFTs? I was listening to Chris Smith of Curator, and he was talking about that's the next thing you need to learn about. I was like, oh, I've got to find out about that. I'm like, I don't even understand what I'm buying a picture. I don't even understand what I'm doing here.
It is a rabbit hole for sure. But
I think I'm going to put my son on it.
There you go.
Let him go down the rabbit hole and do all the Reddit threads and all that, and then report back. I think that's what I'm going to do there.
So that is a great idea. It's certainly evolving, but it is also the infrastructure that I think that a large scale of the world that our kids are going to grow up in are built on NFTs and that form of digital currency. It's
super
incredible stuff.
For sure.
So I won't go down that rabbit hole on this, but we will have another conversation about that. For our listeners, Jen, if there's a loan officer out there who's looking to get off of that roller coaster, if there's somebody that has listened to this and thought, wow, that team sounds like a phenomenal place where I would fit really well, how do people get a hold of you? How do they reach out?
I mean, the easiest thing is just on Facebook, honestly. I mean, or Instagram. It's Jen Conley on Facebook. It's my personal account, and then Home Loans by Jen on Instagram. I get all those messages all the time. I stay on top of them pretty well. It's probably the easiest thing. I don't want to give my cell phone number out. That text is always the best, but emails, I am not an email person. I don't check it. I don't read them. Everyone that knows me knows, text me if you want to talk to me, because I'm not going to check an email. So, but I will check social stuff. So social media is the best way to get a hold of me. Jen Conley on Facebook or Home Loans by Jen on Instagram.
Awesome. And we'll make sure that all of that is in the show notes for everybody so that they have access to it.
Great.
Jen, thank you so much for your time and for being on the show and for sharing. And all the best in the future. And for all of our listeners, thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you on the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit us up with a 5-star review on iTunes, because it helps us get more incredible guests like Jen. Jen, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Chris Johnstone. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast. I hope that you loved it and got incredible value from it. Right now, it's time to head on over to iTunes and leave your 5-star review if you enjoyed this episode. When you do, you will be entered into our monthly draw to receive an Amazon gift card. So go ahead, leave that review today. It also helps us attract top talent and really get incredible interviews lined up for you so that we can share even more value for you. Now, for the show notes and for all of the resources that were mentioned in this episode, you can head on over to loanofficerwealth.com. That's loanofficerwealth.com. You get access to all the show notes from all the episodes, all the past episodes, get notified of new episodes when they drop, and we've also got some very special bonuses for you over on that page when you opt in. So head on over and opt in today, and we look forward to sharing the next episode of the Loan Officer Wealth Podcast with you soon.